Hello and welcome to this information video on the Oceans PACT project. So my name is Michael Gielek and I'm coordinating the international team of researchers. And we have researchers in a number of countries. So it's the United States, we have Brazil, we have Norway, we have Sweden, South Africa and India. And tied to the project is also a long list of partnering stakeholders. So the full title of the project is Ocean Sustainability Pathways for Achieving Conflict Transformation, Oceans PACT. And our ambitious aims are to understand marine resource conflicts and to develop practical strategies for conflict transformation and for ocean sustainability pathways. So at the core of the project, which is the real hub of empirical work, are the case studies. We look at, first of all, conflicts and sustainability assessment, then conflict transformations. We look at institutionalizing sustainability pathways. And we also work with capacity building and social learning. So all of these things will be done within the case studies, and we will also look for similarities and differences among case studies and draw conclusions on if they are scalable, these things, to perhaps international settings or other settings. Finally, we have an ongoing collaborative platforms with stakeholder partners that are embedded both internationally and in the local contexts. So after this introduction, I would like to ask Bruce Glavovich, if you please could give us your perspectives on what makes Ocean PACT significant and innovative.
Thank you, Michael. So we seek to innovate in four main ways. First, we are working across diverse disciplines, reflected in the diversity of our team members. We also have an overarching dialogue forum that draws on world leaders in a number of disciplines. And we have local case study for dialogue forums that will involve local specialists as well. Secondly, we seek to bridge the gap between science, policy, and practice. We do this by working with our local case study partners in these dialogue forums. And we have an overarching dialogue forum that involves key international organizations actively involved in contributing to the transformation of ocean conflicts. Organizations like the Wildlife Conservation Society, IUCN, the World Ocean Council, and others. Thirdly, we seek to bridge the gap between science and local and traditional knowledges, again, working with our local partners in a collaborative manner. And finally, we seek to build a foundation that goes beyond the life of this project by working in an action research-oriented manner that encourages partners to integrate lessons learned into their practices and into formal institutional arrangements. And lastly, we seek to build capability through a range of guidance materials and training opportunities that we hope can get passed on from generation to generation. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. So this will be conducted in South Africa. We have a case study in India, in the Arabian Sea part. We also have a case study in the Baltic Sea and in the Barents Sea and in US parts of the Atlantic Sea. And finally, in areas outside of Sao Paulo region in Brazil. So we will not have time to explain all of these case studies to you, but I will ask three of our researchers to give some insights on these case studies. So first, Merle, could you please tell us more about the South African case?
Okay, thanks very much. The case study we will be focusing on in South Africa is the Langebaan-Saldanha Lagoon on the west coast. Saldanha Bay is to the north of this lagoon complex and is the largest deep water harbor in South Africa. But it's also the location of several industries, including iron ore, steel plants, and various fish processing factories. To the south, the area has been declared a national park and has been a Ramsar site since the 1970s. And this large marine lagoon, part of which has been declared a marine protected area, supports a growing number of recreational users, but also provides important fishing grounds to small-scale fishers. and it has recently been declared an aquaculture development zone with a proposal to extend aquaculture operations threefold. And this proposal is part of South Africa's Blue Economy Initiative, promising jobs and prosperity to the region. Now, the development of this aquaculture development zone is strongly opposed by local fishers, by recreational users, by the conservation community, as well as small tourism operators. But it is strongly supported by big business, industry, and the government at all levels, especially in these times of economic crisis. These conflicts are fueled by diverse views, diverse interests, and values amongst actors, and emerging recognition of the rights of customary fishers who are increasingly claiming their rights to historical fishing grounds. So this project will be exploring these conflicts amongst diverse actors, creating safe spaces for dialogue and innovation to identify pathways for more sustainable and equitable futures.
And thank you very much, Merle. Thank you, very interesting. So Partha, please tell us more about the Indian case.
The Indian case in the west coast along the Arabian Sea is interesting because it involves claims and contestations by hundreds and thousands of indigenous artisanal fishers who have historically evolved collective choice agreements and negotiated common property rights in accessing ocean resources. In recent times, claims over marine resources by the government and private sector around tourism, oil and gas, offshore wind and solar, and commercial trawl fisheries have created scope for conflicts in a context where climate change related impacts cause new risks and vulnerabilities. The region we are interested in is frequently listed among the most vulnerable urban regions in the world to climate hazards. There are also, in addition, conflicts around coastal environmental regulations, which are poorly designed and implemented. And there is increasing contestation around environmental impact assessments, coastal wetlands, and ocean-related laws and governance systems. What makes this case study challenging and significant in terms of sustainability and conflict transformation include, first, the presence of a large and well-organized small-scale fisheries sector. Second, the use of multiple legal regimes in conflicts and contestations. Third, the presence of a variety of governance systems. Fourth, the large-scale violation of environmental laws. And finally, new capital-intensive blue economy projects in the ocean.
Thank you very much, Partha. Very interesting indeed. Finally, Ralph, can you please explain what makes the Baltic case interesting?
Thank you, Michael. In the Baltic Sea, we have 3 sub-cases. The first one is of a transboundary nature, and it's a conflict between Poland and Sweden. Now, at the border between Poland and Sweden, Poland has plans to build shipping lanes and offshore wind farms. However, on the other side of the border on Sweden's part, there is a Natura 2000 site. So here there is a conflict between blue growth and Natura 2000. Now, on the other side, at a more local level, there is marine spatial planning in coastal waters of Poland. Here, the main conflict is between offshore wind energy actors and small-scale fishers, because the lagoons in Poland, these are major fishing grounds for small-scale fisheries. Now, there has been a history of contestation between small-scale fishers and marine planners. So there's been some sort of a distrust in science, in marine planners and ocean managers, as well as anything that is related to the EU policies and regulations. Now, the fear now is how are marine planners going to win back the trust of small-scale fishers, because they see marine spatial planning as an instrument to further squeeze them out of their fishing grounds and bring in new players like offshore wind farms. The last case is offshore wind energy in Hiiumaa, Estonia. This is an interesting case because historically, or between 2012 and 2016, offshore wind farms were planned. However, in 2018, there was a Supreme Court ruling that cancelled the plan. Now, the plan, there are consultations going on to revisit how the offshore wind farm can be sited. But locals, coastal residents, are very, very much against this offshore wind farm. They complain about destructions on marine protection or marine mammals and seabirds. At the same time, they have cultural and aesthetic values and coastal tourism considerations to bring in here. Now, how all of this is going to play out, it's something that we really need to understand and see how we can sort of, together with the different actors, transform the conflict into sustainability outcomes. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, and thank you, Ralph, and thank you all partners for sharing your perspectives and insights from the cases. Before we end this video, I would just like to say a few words about the outputs and outcomes of the project. So in terms of outputs, we will publish quite a lot of scholarly texts, like articles and books. We will also have a strong focus on publishing various types of materials, texts and other type of materials which are stakeholder adjusted. So it will be guidance documents and information and other type of communication material. In terms of outcomes, Bruce mentioned quite a lot about the significance of our project. We would like to just end up by saying a few words about some specific outcomes. First of all, we will generate significant new insights on ocean conflicts and their transformation. We will construct or help to build what we call engagement arenas at various scales, both locally and at an international level, which will facilitate dialogue and action around ocean conflict. We will also generate practical approaches on more productive ways to address ocean conflicts. And finally, we will interact with other projects in this Belmont Call to leverage insights across the projects. And with that, we would like to thank you all for being interested, and please stay tuned to our progress by visiting our project website, which will be up and running pretty soon during the summer. We also like to sincerely thank the national funders who has made all of this possible. And with that, bye-bye and see you soon.